Here is a country of great contrast.
Great civilization that I'm here.
A foreign country a step away.
All right, we're back. It's the Casa de Cavazos. Justin in Chicago, Ada in Harlingen, Texas. Produced by Brother Jared, and who's also speaking on the pod today, Brother Jared.
Whoa.
In New York City, providing that Tejano connection to reality. How is it going?
I'm very busy. Got a lot going on. But it's raining a lot today.
So
So
here too.
it's a very rainy day. There's been some lightning. I did go out into the rain today to buy some lottery tickets. I buy lottery tickets once a week.
You probably won't.
Sometimes I win like $2, $4.
Things are pretty warm here, but we are not getting a lot of precipitation our way. What we are getting is a lot of celebration and festivities.
Of what?
We had the Chicago Pride Parade on Sunday.
Okay.
Have you been to the Chicago Pride?
Yes, I have.
Have you been to New York
I have been to New York.
Pride?
Thanks for asking.
I'm very curious to see how different the vibe is. I mean, it's very much it takes over the whole lower part of the city. It becomes impossible to get around sometimes.
Even with the subway?
Well, let's say you were called in to do an inventory on the day of the Pride Parade.
Is this a hypothetical?
Hypothetically. And your place is right around the corner from, Stonewall and Greenwich and all of that. Right smack dab in the middle of the parade route in those narrow streets.
Yeah.
And how would you imagine getting food brought to you in that environment?
I don't know. Just cook your own food then.
Yeah.
At work?
Yeah. You don't got a grill at work? You don't got a full kitchen?
You're in a veterinary office.
Why don't you get some Vienna sausages, some bread,
It's a classic.
some Spam, some bread.
Yeah, speaking of spam, we have some legislation that just passed the House, known as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act.
Well, it passed the House, then it passed the Senate, then it's going back to the House, right? Because there were changes.
Do you think it could get stalled again in the House?
I don't know. I saw a post just recently that allegedly 20 people in the GOP in the House are not happy with the bill.
Is that different from the number of people who signed it before it went to Senate?
I would think so. I think they pretty much got all or most of the Republicans in the House. So I don't know. Who knows what's true? I feel like a lot of people will just fold. They'll be afraid they're going to get primaried, and they'll fall in line at some point.
What kind of sucks about a lot of these provisions is that they're phased out over the course of something like 10 years. So even if it doesn't make people's lives suck that much more right now, in 10 years, a lot of people aren't going to be eligible for a lot of these benefits.
Yeah. So they're kind of doing it in a political fashion so that they can kind of defray some of the political harm to themselves for a while. It doesn't sound like a beautiful bill. It sounds like a bad bill for a lot of people. Even Elon Musk is going insane right now about it. He does not want it to pass. We'll see what happens, but I feel like the House people will fold and pretty much pass it similar to the current form of the Senate bill.
Well, aren't Trump and Musk fighting over it?
Yes, again. They calmed down and now they're fighting again.
Well, what would have changed?
I don't know. I think Elon simmered down a little bit. And then now that the bill is again becoming reality, he's pissed off again. He's saying that the deficit's going to explode, that really it's not accomplishing what he wants. He wants debt to go down. He wants the deficit to go down. So.
But it's not going to go down if you're cutting taxes for the top 20% of earners.
Yeah.
It's just crazy because a lot of the gains that can be made are going to be in those taxes for high earners.
Yeah.
Right? But all these other cuts that are happening, like the Medicare, Medicaid, to job positions in the federal government, I know quite a few people at this point who have been doged or who have friends and family members who have been doged.
Yeah.
Those are peanuts compared to how much you could actually get into the budget from those high earners.
Well, but tax cuts are also happening at lower levels of income. So there are some calculators online where some people maybe had their taxes cut by $1,000, $2,000, stuff like that. Like if they qualify for things like no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, child tax credits, things like that.
Yeah, but then you're going to have to pay it some other way. Higher sales taxes somewhere. You could do higher property taxes. Chances are you're going to have to pay more for your own health care if you're previously eligible for benefits that you're no longer eligible for. If you're on food assistance to begin with, that's another expense that you're going to have to take as well.
Yeah. I feel like some people don't really notice that as far as what you're saying about healthcare and things like that. I think that we have a lot of very individualistic people who just want to keep as much money as possible because they feel that they can control it better than the government. And that's what they care about. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people become Republicans because they want lower taxes. They want to control more of their money. They feel like their money is being wasted. So I guess from that standpoint, maybe some of the people don't care. As long as they get some more money that they can control themselves to do whatever they want. And it's not being spent on government programs or whatever.
Does anyone think that this bill is going to reduce the national debt?
Fuck no.
Does Trump think that? I don't know.
Isn't the whole idea of conservatism to spend less, to have leaner budgets, to reduce the national debt?
You would think so, and Rand Paul said so and voted no to the Senate bill. But I don't know. I mean, these people are no longer acting like the Republicans in the past, really. I mean, what are they doing? There's no fiscal conservatism. There's no compassionate conservatism. They really are just being crazy in a lot of senses. So I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, a lot of it is hurting the economy. Did you see that the Fed chair basically just said that if we didn't have the tariffs, interest rates would have come down already.
Did he say that? When?
Yeah, today.
What the hell? So is Trump pissed off about that? Because he hates Jerome Powell.
I mean, I feel like he's got nothing to lose at this point.
Well, I mean, pretty much he's going to be out of a job, Jerome Powell, right? Like, his best case scenario is that he's out next year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Trump's trying to find a way to replace him now.
Yes. When asked Tuesday if Trump's tariffs held up the Fed's plan to cut interest rates, Powell affirmed, quote, "I think that's right. We went on hold when we saw the size of the tariffs. All inflation forecasts for the United States went up materially as a consequence of the tariffs."
That's jacked.
Yeah.
That's jacked. Like, the whole story of they're going to improve inflation, Biden was ruining everything, doesn't seem to be true.
And housing's not getting cheaper.
And energy prices are not going to get much cheaper. Maybe gas will fluctuate, but it sounds like if that bill goes through, electricity costs are going to go up.
Why is that?
I think because they're severely hampering other forms of power, like solar power and wind power.
How does this make us a stronger country? How does this put America first?
I don't know, sir. That's a puzzle that you need to answer for me.
Because what it sounds like is we are putting a lot of the society behind, both in terms of their earning potential, their ability to buy homes, the ability for them to grow their small businesses. We are also being put behind in our own energy race. You know, as much as we can drill, and we're drilling a lot. Baby, we're drilling. We've been drilling, even during Biden's administration.
Yeah.
We're going to fall behind on all these other types of energy as well, just because we want to bring coal back.
I don't know. I think there's just a lack of understanding. And people have become too stuck to their team, especially the Republican team. Because there's that article that I was reading today about a farmer who he received a grant from the Biden administration to help him get a worker from Guatemala. And it's a whole story about how the Trump administration screwing him over froze the grant. But he never really like connects the dots that Biden gave him the grant. Biden created the grant and gave him the grant for his farm to hire this Guatemalan worker. So he voted for Trump, and then he's mad that Trump froze the grant. And then he says other things in the article like, oh, like, I don't want my kids to have this kind of life. I want them to go to college. Like, what? This is the anti-college party, the Republican Party. Like, what is going on here? Like, people are not connecting the dots.
Yeah.
That they're receiving help from Democrats. That the Democrats are the ones that want their kids to be college prepared and want them to go to college. It's just crazy. I don't understand what's going on here.
I think a lot of people decide to not go to college if they're on the fence about it. So how are you saying that you want your kids to go to college when you're kind of mortgaging their future for what? For the price of eggs? For invisible enemies that don't actually exist?
I also don't know if the cut in Pell Grants is still there, but that was one of the things that was in the big, beautiful bill. So that's another thing that decreases the accessibility to college education.
Do you see that they're also modifying the income-driven repayment plans?
In the current bill?
Yeah, they're planning on completely removing the SAVE program.
Well, that was expected, though.
Year.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, Democrats need to do a way better job about saying, like, these are the things that we're for. We're the ones that gave you these particular grants, whether it's the farm grant, whether it's the Pell Grant. Like, how are people not connecting the dots? And they're voting against the people who gave them the grants. Like, that's insane.
People don't know. They're not crazy. They just don't know.
I don't know, man. I just can't even make sense of it. Because I was looking into it and it's talking about a grant that was in 2023, and I look it up. It's a Biden administration grant. I think it was actually part of the Inflation Reduction Act. Mm-hmm. And then now you're, like, voting for Trump and then mad because he doesn't want to give you Biden's grant. Well, I mean, that kind of makes sense because Trump essentially wanted to undo a lot of what Biden did. I mean, I guess you can't micromanage your campaign to that extent, but, like, is there a way to, like, kind of micro-message? Like, you got this grant from Biden and it's going to go away potentially if Trump gets in. Like, that might have resonated.
Do you think that Elon Musk's proposed third party would provide any resistance to any of this?
Well, he alleges that he's going to primary anyone who supports this bill. What kind of party would he have? Like, he has a lot of thoughts that I don't agree with. I feel like he's a racist.
I mean, he's pretty for the mass deportations.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure if that would really work. Like, you'd basically get maybe like a group of MAGA people into that party if it's going to be racist and pro-deportation. And he's also very anti-transgender people. So I don't know. Like, what would that party be? Like, I don't know that a lot of people would want to be in that party.
I don't know, secret Nazis or something. I've been thinking a lot recently about how freedoms aren't necessarily currently guaranteed. And the so-called party of freedom doesn't really want liberty for its citizens.
Yeah.
I think there's just a total misunderstanding of the hypocrisy involved when it comes to taking away rights from someone else, knowing, I guess not knowing that, you know, there's a chance that that means that yours are on the table to be taken away as well.
How do you message that properly to people, though, so that they understand what's happening to our freedoms? Because apparently it doesn't resonate with a lot of people just to say you're losing your freedoms or democracy's at risk. Like, it has to be a lot more specific or something, and it has to resonate with an individual. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah. Oh, shit. Brother Nathan is here. I guess he's not Brother Nathan. We just call him Nathan. We are talking about the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Are people in your world talking about it at all?
I didn't even know I had my own world.
It's your own little micro-universe.
Really. I've kind of been so swamped with work. I have not had any political arguments lately.
Like if someone's talking to you, you're like, shut the fuck up. I need to finish this thing.
Exactly. And it's my wife's birthday today, so it's definitely not on my list.
Oh,
You're
happy
doing the
birthday.
pod? You're doing the pod on Rosie's birthday?
Yeah, she's in a meeting right now, though.
Oh,
What?
what the hell?
How's she in a
Yep.
meeting? It's like almost 8 p.m.
They have a meeting to start the month. Every month.
Is it
So-
a fun meeting?
No, she's very annoyed. She's very hungry. We're discussing dinner plans, possibly tacos.
Oh.
Taco Palenque or from where?
No, probably
it-
like Dormbidia or Fiesta.
Speaking of Fiesta and Westlacote, didn't Father Man give us some intel about that?
What intel?
Oh, about how they didn't have any employees?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We haven't been there in a while, so wonder how that's going. But back to the bill. What were you guys discussing so far?
Oh, before that, I just want to say that your tacos are probably made by AI then.
Allen Iverson?
Damn, I didn't know AI was struggling that much.
No, he's
Yep.
he's diversifying his income streams.
He's looking at Achilles injuries. He's making tacos.
Everybody send your meta-generated photos of Allen Iverson doing any of these hilarious tasks.
Now, before this, we were talking about the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, how it's passed the Senate and is now going back to the House. Talking about how it kind of seems like some people don't understand that the people that they voted for are actually cutting their programs now, or that some of the even some of the grants they've received were actually from the previous administration.
Yeah. Well, even before the
And yet
bill,
are
like I was
surprised
saying.
when the current administration wants to undo them.
Not good. I did read that some of the senators, they got like some of the cuts not to be in their states, which if that's true, it's kind of weird. Like that's how they got them to vote for the bill. It was like the
I mean-
cuts are not going to apply
Isn't that
to your state.
politics 101? I feel like we've always studied that.
Yeah, I mean,
That you
but I'm
negotiate
saying,
that
like,
way.
if you're all about this bill, why are you forcing their hand? Like no cuts here, and we'll push this bill through. Which obviously means you don't care about anybody else in the country.
Yeah.
You just care about the safety that we've always talked about. You're just retaining that seat somehow.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because I think every congressperson is going to get into that situation where you're going to make some negotiation and try to get something for your area, your district, or your state. But I guess when is that line that is unethical? At least in your own moral code.
I think that line's already here. I mean, if you're not okay with your own constituents getting it, why would you vote for a bill that's going to take it away from every other state?
Yeah. Yeah, that seems a little extreme.
If you're not okay with something happening to you, why would you let it happen to someone else?
Yeah.
Isn't that the whole the golden rule in a way?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not if you're MAGA. As long as it doesn't affect you, you don't care what happens.
Do they care anything about what Mr. Jesus said?
Mr. Jesus?
Mr. Jesus?
Mr.
Probably
Jesus?
deported him already.
I saw someone sharing a post recently that Mondani was like he's like a Middle Eastern Jew who is persecuted by a powerful Roman and is about giving healthcare and food to the poor. Welcome back, Jesus of Nazareth.
Oh my god. That's funny.
Yeah, as
But-
long as it doesn't happen to you.
But it is already happening to them, like we just talked about with that farmer. He got a grant from Biden, then is pissed off that Trump froze the grant. Like, why did you not give Biden any credit? And now you're pissed off that you voted for Trump and he's screwing you. It's very strange.
Because they believe the lies. That's actually what I was doing when I was at the Tumblr parties right now. I was like, why do people like love Trump? Let me look this up. And it turns out there's multiple articles that say they just love his lies. Like that's why they defend him. Like they love that he's lying because they know that it rattles the career politician. So they don't care that he's lying. Like they love the fact that he's making them uncomfortable, have their guard up, even though like they know he's fucking lying. So
But what is he actually doing to improve the country?
does it matter? They felt
I
that
mean-
they felt that Washington was corrupt, so now somebody's in there that sounds like them, and he's making them upset. So they think
I
it's
mean,
great.
He sounds like them, but he's actually the most corrupt ever. So that's very strange to be anti-corruption, but then vote for the most corrupt person that we've ever known in modern times.
Look, Mike Johnson said he's doing it out in the open. So
Wait,
there's
what?
that.
What is this quote?
I sent you all a video when I was
Yeah, I
over
saw it.
there. he's saying like, oh, that the Bidens were like the crime family because they were doing things in the dark, and then they ask him about Trump, and he's like, everything's out in the open. It's being done. We know about this. So basically, like, doesn't fucking matter what he's doing because it's not being hidden.
Yeah, with all the colognes that he's selling and Bibles and watches.
The
and
Trump phone.
the phone.
The MVNO.
The
You know what we need?
dinners.
What we need is ranked choice voting.
Do you think that would have changed the outcome in the last presidential election?
Well, I think it would change how we primary people. Absolutely. Because then you would actually put someone at the top of your ticket who you actually believe in and agree with, and then you can second rank choice vote someone that is the safer pick.
Yeah.
So that if that person that you're gunning for, who might have some flaws as a candidate, but really is for the things that you believe in, then it's no risk to you. You don't take a vote from your party. You don't take a vote from... you don't give a vote to the other side, essentially. It's not a wasted vote. If they don't end up making it through, then that still goes to the next safe person. I think people would be more likely to vote for people that better align with their values instead of this all or nothing thing that we currently have.
Is that
mean,
that
with-
voting process where it goes through like a couple of stages where like initially like you get ranked and then there's like a second vote and that's when the actual
No, a second-
candidate wins? Or it's a
Second
different
vote is
type?
like when there's like a runoff. When the vote is too close within a certain number of percentage points. Like the ranked choice is still tabulated regularly as during the election. It just so happens that if say your first person does not reach the threshold of votes to be viable, then and they're eliminated, then it goes to your second choice after that. Jared, didn't you have ranked choice voting in New York City for the mayor primary?
Yep.
Did you rank Cuomo at all?
Nope. That was actually a big campaign for the Modality canvassers.
What, not to rank Cuomo at all?
Yep.
Cuomo was a bad candidate. Like,
So
It's
is he
just
dropping
not-
out?
good idea.
Nope. He's always planning on running as an independent.
So he is a bad candidate, not was.
Oh, still is. Then still
Remains
is
a bad candidate. I mean, so is Eric Adams in a way with his corruption stuff, and he's planning on running too.
This might be off topic, but do you have any opinions about some of the Democratic leadership seeming to speak out against Mondani, even though he is the elected candidate?
What are they
think
saying
we
about him?
touched
I'm
on
not,
this
I have
a
no
little
idea
bit.
about any of this.
Who's speaking out?
The establishment.
But who?
Yeah, who in specific?
Christian Gillibrand at one point was asked in an interview about some of the like anti-Semitic concerns in the community, and she didn't like outright dismiss it for him.
Mm.
I feel
It
like
kind of
this-
like was critical of some of the other things he said in his campaign.
Can you
I
explain
feel
the whole
like this is a
anti-Semitic
test
thing?
that Democrats need to pass. I mean, we've seen that the Republicans have been able to grasp power just by getting behind whoever wins. And if we go back to this thing where the candidate has to be perfect, then we're going to be in the same situation again. We
Yeah.
might get Vance to win in 3-4 years because we're over here fighting over like stupid things like, oh, this candidate is a socialist or a Marxist. So
Yeah, Bernie's
But
going to be
what-
like 100 years old.
But what is the
Yeah.
anti-Semitic argument? Because I feel like the Israel-Gaza thing is very complicated, and both sides are doing things that are bad. As far
It is
as
extremely complicated. I
Yeah.
think the biggest thing is that, just like we've talked about many times, it's become an all or nothing thing. So if you're pro-Gaza, free Palestine, you don't like what Israel is doing, a lot of people just consider you anti-Semitic. Now, some people do take that too far into anti-Semitic territory, but a lot of people have taken to dismissing the whole pro-Palestine camp as being anti-Semitic.
And that messaging goes more far in New York, that has the second largest Jewish population in the world. If you look at the voting maps, a lot of those populations voted heavily in favor of Cuomo.
are people actually connecting Israel with Jewish people that are in New York City and saying that those people are part of Israel?
Well, isn't that the whole birthright thing?
I mean, like, why would there be anti-Semitism towards Americans who are Jewish? because of the situation.
I mean, there have been attacks.
But why? That's what I need to understand more.
Well, here it's not. It's more feeling like people are emboldened to like persecute them in public because they associate them if they're not on the other side of the aisle.
I mean, is it because some of those people are actively saying that they're very pro-Israel and whatever Israel's doing?
That might be the assumption.
So they're making an assumption they don't even know what these Jewish Americans think. Like, I'm just confused about why they're associating Jewish people in general with Israel.
Well, it's the Holy Land.
Why are you laughing, Justin?
Well, I mean, like, what do you mean you don't understand the association between Jewish people and Israel?
No, I mean, like, no, I'm saying, like, if something's happening in Mexico, they're not gonna, like, I'm not gonna be pissed off that, like, I have Mexican descent and, like, something's happening against me in Mexico. That's why
Well, there are also, like, a lot of, like, wealthy Jewish folks who are heavily invested in Israel.
Okay. So there are some people that are very associated with Israel.
Yeah, like, people have homes over there. People have family over there.
Well, some of those people, but there's a lot of Jewish people who don't have family there right now, right?
I don't know the genealogy.
Well, that's why I'm
who's
confused.
got family where.
That's why I'm confused, because at this point, Jewish people are throughout the world. And a lot of Jewish people have been here for generations already. So that's why I'm somewhat confused about why people would associate all Jewish people with Israel at this point.
Well, I don't know. I remember, like, being around a lot of, like, wealthier Jewish people in college, and something that kind of came up frequently was this concept of birthright.
Okay.
That at a certain point, you're basically, like, entitled to, like, a free trip to Israel to go and reconnect with your ancestral roots.
So there's something within the culture that they feel very connected to Israel because of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that they agree with what Israel's doing.
This is true. But some people
Some people
think that what they're doing is right.
But there are also
some
people who are...
the way that they see it is that, you know, you have these instigators like Hamas and other enemies in Iran who are trying to kill their people.
Yeah.
So they must respond with as much force as possible.
Yeah.
But the nuance gets lost when people don't want to discuss all the civilian casualties and the ways in which a lot of people in Gaza have been displaced and might never be able to return to what was once their home.
There was a story, I don't know if it's true, that people from Gaza were just like in a line to get food, and then Israel people just started shooting them. Like, does that happen?
Yeah.
So, I mean, both sides, like,
yeah, but
obviously
they'll claim that there were terrorists there.
I mean, there are terrorists there, right?
When they would bomb hospitals and schools, places that were supposed to be like the refugee safe havens within Gaza, they would say like, "Oh, that's where the base of operations was, like at all costs."
Yeah.
No, it's Hamas's fault for using the people as a shield. We still had to eliminate them.
Well, it is true that Hamas is a terrorist organization within Gaza, right?
Yes.
So there is badness there. There's badness on both sides, it seems to me.
Yes, but is it worth the cost of killing civilians?
I mean, I don't
in
think
massive collateral damage.
We should ever think it's okay to kill civilians in any
and also
kind of
to like to
conflict.
remove them from their homeland and never allow them to return. You know, like what Trump is saying, that maybe like Gaza should be a new development.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where we shouldn't really get too invested in picking a side because it's too complicated.
Yeah, I mean, it's was really interesting during the Democratic primary in New York when they had a debate. They were asking people where they would like to travel, and like everyone was saying Israel, and I'm thinking like, I mean, you as like the common person in New York, that doesn't affect them at all. Like, and what are you going to do as like a city mayor for the whole situation over there? Like, it doesn't seem.
Also seems like the America First thing doesn't really jive with getting into the Israel situation.
Or the Iran situation.
Yeah.
No, it does not. That's why there was a divide when this bombing happened.
Well, then there was this group like Ted Cruz saying it's like a biblical thing. Like, that's why we have to protect Israel.
Yeah, there are a lot of like Christian Zionists who want Israel to reclaim the homeland because that's one of the things that's supposed to lead to Armageddon and the second coming of Jesus, according to the prophecies.
I mean, I don't think there should be any anti-Semitism, obviously, and I think that people should have the right to have their viewpoint as long as they're not doing any terrorist activities within the country. So basically what has happened on the university campuses is that there were some people that are being anti-Jewish people and saying that they were killing Gazans. Is that what happened? In Columbia and other universities? Because there's a whole thing with Trump now. Like, oh, anti-Semitism was happening, and that's why we're taking away money from these universities because they didn't control it.
Yeah, there were a lot of pro-Palestine protests at some of these universities. And some Jewish students have said that they felt unsafe due to those. I don't know if they've actually outright experienced direct persecution for being Jewish there. Protests that I've passed by on campuses like Northwestern, when they did have them, were peaceful. They were more like sit-ins, encampments.
Yeah.
No violence, no hate crimes, but also I wasn't living on campus. I don't know what the day-to-day is.
Yeah. This is just, like, very complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not right to persecute anyone.
Yeah. I mean, I also know quite a few progressive Jews who think that what Israel is doing is wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's not either or. You don't have to be on one side or the other.
Yeah. And I think that we should respect everyone's opinions. And as long as we're peaceful about it, I think it's okay. But yeah, I think this is super complicated and we really should stop getting involved.
Yeah, what was the whole deal with Congress wanting to put a stay on more military action in Iran? Don't they have to approve some actions like bombing other countries?
Well, I think the question was whether or not this was a war action. Because if it's a war action, then Congress has to approve. But if it was not a war action, then technically the president can act.
Well, what kind of bombing is not a war action?
I don't know. I mean, then they started to give examples of Obama having had some missions that weren't approved by Congress.
Well, like the Osama one? SEAL Team 6?
I'm not sure. But that's the question. Like, what's a war action and what's not? And so if you just have a very limited strike, is that a war action or not? I mean,
Just
nothing's
an
happening
ambush,
anymore.
like
Would you call this a very limited strike, though?
I mean, they didn't really get rid of the nuclear capabilities.
Are you sure it was not completely obliterated?
I mean, there are multiple reports that it's not been completely obliterated.
I don't know. Trump said it. Press secretary said it. Hegseth said it.
Why would I trust those people over, like, impartial people like the UN? Like,
Not sure. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I did see something supposedly might even only be 2 weeks away from starting uranium enrichment again.
Oh, 2 whole weeks?
Yeah.
Gotta love it. We're still only just past the first 6 months
Oh
of this
my
presidency.
it's so bad. Like, how can this only be 6 months? It feels like 5 years have passed.
Does it really?
Yes. Like, sometimes we'll talk about something we discussed on the pod, and I'm like, what? That was only 4 months ago.
I mean, I kind of started tuning out after like the first 45 days.
Yeah, but you have to tune back in because of the pod. We're always bringing it up again.
Yeah, but like not every single thing that he does. Just like the ridiculousness that comes with this man. I was like already used to it. I was like, did you hear this? I'm like, no. And they told me, I was like, yeah, it sounds like something he would say. Not shocking, not surprising.
I will say again, I do not understand what people get out of these 24-hour news channels. Like, if someone's like always on CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News, or Newsmax, or whatever the hell, like, what are you doing? Why do you need to have like this funnel of garbage directly into your brain at all times?
So you can own the libtards, or if you're liberal, you can own the magtards.
I will say that the insults flow way more from one direction.
I mean, they that's kind of the argument on both sides. Claim that they're very peaceful, very respectful, and that liberals just go insane instantly.
That's not what I see online, sir. I see a lot of liberals or libtards right away. Insane. How could a sane person ever vote for a liberal? Stuff like that. It gets bad pretty quick.
Sometimes they're bots. I'll always say it. I want people to believe this.
Yet
because it is true.
We have never discussed this at length of the pod, though.
About what?
He's wanted to talk about, like, the AI thing.
I keep on bringing it up.
Which AI thing?
When that was at the
people are
time.
bots. Yeah. Damn it.
Unless you're prepared still to talk about this.
He's got the Hakeem Olajuwon just denying me at the rim here. To talk about the bots online.
I feel like we've talked about bots before.
Not at length.
Oh.
Yeah. We can do an entire Allen Iverson episode. I have a feeling that's not going to get old. It's going to come back. Do you want to quickly talk about the beginning of NBA free agency?
The crazy beginning.
Yeah, everyone's moving around.
KD
I
to
think
the Rockets.
with all this like second apron stuff, people can't really hold on to guys anymore. You got to do a bunch of smaller contracts.
KD to the Rockets. Miles Turner to the Bucks. What else happened that was crazy?
They waived Lillard. Like, that's insane. Like, he went out there. He came back from that clot to put his health on the line. And then you just waive him. Apparently, Giannis is not very happy with this move.
So it's like $113 million worth of contract, too.
He's 34, though. 34 with an Achilles tear?
Yes, I understand. But, like, he came back. That's where people are upset. Like, talk about the players leaving these teams. No loyalty. And then when this man comes back, didn't need to come back, tears his Achilles, probably because he came back too soon, and they reward him by waiving him.
But didn't he come out and say that this is honestly the best situation for him in his point in his career? Like, he has time to rehab without the pressure coming back, and he gets paid because the whole all of his guarantees are going to get paid out.
I mean, of course he's going to say that now. I mean, he never wanted to be in Milwaukee. Now people are saying the silver lining is he can finally get to Miami.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think Milwaukee's goal is here? I think they still need another creator or ball handler to take some of that pressure off of Giannis, and that was the whole idea behind the Dame trade, but they don't really have anyone who can be that other offensive outlet in the mid-range or the perimeter.
Not yet. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to make some other moves.
They've been the most active team in free agency.
Maybe they can try to get Michael Porter Jr.
Is he a buyout candidate?
I think it's possible. That terrible Brooklyn team.
Yeah, they definitely need another scorer. I mean, Lillard's obviously going to miss the entire year, but I think Milwaukee's still trying to win a title, and I think with all the injuries out there, it might be a year to swing for it.
Yeah, and they're trying to shore up their center position, too, with Brook Lopez gone. They got two bigs. They got Miles Turner, and they got the young stud Jericho Sims.
Yeah, they got younger at that position. Miles Turner is probably a better Brook Lopez at this point in his career. Curious as to why Indiana gave up on him. Maybe that finals appearance didn't do him any favors.
I've been seeing that it just Indiana refusing to pay the luxury tax, and I think some people are suggesting it's wild for them to pay the luxury tax in a year that's basically punted without Halliburton.
Yeah, of course your decision changes now. Halliburton's not going to be there probably the whole season. You're going to go into luxury tax, and that's something you want. Let's say you don't even make the playoffs without Halliburton. We saw Phoenix go through that, and looks like they're going through the same kind of thing now, trying to rebuild.
Yeah, but Indiana's deeper than Phoenix.
Phoenix
and
had
they're
depth.
better coached still.
It's strange to see how the Lakers still cannot acquire anybody due to the contracts that they've.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. You gotta talk about LeBron.
The contracts that they've committed to.
Okay, so LeBron opted into a $52 million contract. Like, that's insane. Like, how are you gonna be good when you pay a 40-year-old $52 million, and then he's like watching and wants the Lakers to get better? Like, what? How are they going to get better when you have a $52 million salary? You got Luka, too.
They can't sign anybody again due to this contract.
And they still don't have a center.
They're not going to find one. Of course, the Laker fans, of course, are saying, oh, why don't we get Dame now?
For why?
Well, he's going to be out for the year, though, right?
pretty likely, considering his age, that he'd probably want to do the full year thing.
Yeah.
If anybody's going to come back, it'll probably be Tatum or Halliburton, but it would also be really late in the season. And I don't know how much they'd want to risk them coming back. I mean, they probably wouldn't tear it again, but what's the benefit if you're not going to make a really deep run?
Wait, speaking of the Celtics, why did they get rid of Porzingis?
That weird illness.
What was it?
Well, it might be the same thing, too. I mean, if they feel like it's a lost year and they're not going to extend him later on, just drop him.
Mm-hmm.
But
the Celtics did need to shed a ton of salary.
But he was their special guy. Like, I felt like he was the X factor in their title run.
Yeah, but he was healthy for just the right period of time.
Speaking of the Celtics, that reminds me of Drew Holiday. What are the chances that he gets bought out by Portland and goes back to the Bucks again?
That could happen. I mean, he is older now. He has lost a step, but when it came down to it, he was still able to create shots and take them when needed. So when you waive someone, does that still apply to the luxury tax and the aprons, that money that's owed?
I don't think so.
Even though you still have to pay it?
I don't think it counts. Otherwise, teams wouldn't do it.
I mean, Holiday back in Milwaukee, that would be cool. Even though he's older.
I mean, he was still really good. He was still making a lot of threes.
Mm-hmm.
Still a really solid defender.
Not as much for the point guards anymore, but he's still putting up good fights against wings.
So apparently it does count against the salary cap, but when you waive a player, you can soften that hit with the stretch provision.
Mm-hmm. So you're paying it over a couple of years?
Yeah, you can just stretch those payments out.
So they're financing it?
Yeah. There's some relief there.
The West is going to be interesting. I mean, I think OKC is still going to be the team to beat. I think Denver will look interesting. They got a strong role player in Bruce Brown back. They have an actual backup now for Jokic in Valanciunas instead of Saric, who was, I don't know, I was always concerned when Saric went out there.
That Cam Johnson trade's actually a pretty good move.
Mm-hmm. Cam Johnson's on the upswing. Generally has better health than Porter Jr. as well. I don't think that would have been a move that the Nuggets would have made if Malone was still there. I think Malone was really close with Porter Jr.
Yeah, a surprising move, but I guess, I mean, he does have those injury problems. He had them before. I think when he came out of college, he had that back issue, and that's the reason why he slid to begin with. Teams weren't sure he wouldn't hold up. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's held up well enough. I mean, he's still in the league, still a productive player.
Yeah.
I feel like Denver just decided it was time to move on. Not necessarily because they don't think he's a good player, but have somebody that's a little bit more reliable, maybe, long term.
Yeah. It's been a fast start already to free agency in the NBA. Even with the finals over, we still find a way to talk about basketball. It's the gift that keeps on giving, much like this podcast, which you can find on all the platforms, on Spotify, on Amazon, on Apple, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts. We're also at casadecavasos@gmail.com. You can send us mailbag questions to the contact form there or through our email directly at casadecavasospod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Blue Sky, and we'll see you later.
Until next time.
Bye.
Peace.